Hello, Garland Nixon here, hanging out with the one and only Andrei Martyanov. We're going to talk about air defense, amongst other things. Let's talk. Hello, Garland Nixon here. We're hanging out with Andrei Martyanov. And let's not forget, he's got his great blog, Reminiscence of the Future. Some good stuff there. There we go. Hey, look at that. Hey, look at those two handsome young gentlemen. But there's lots of stuff going on there. So go to Reminiscence of the Future regularly and keep up with Andrei Martyanov. The important thing is you can find out all of his all of his interviews. And of course, look over here. America's Final War, yikes, disintegration, the real revolution in military affairs, losing military supremacy. This is all stuff you need to know if you really want to understand what's happening here as far as what's going on in the U.S. and why we seem to be having so many troubles. And actually, now that we're trying to deal with a real war, now that we're instead of just a bunch of people who, are olive farmers who are doing their best to, have a Kalashnikov. Those days are behind us, and now we're having a slamming into reality. Okay, so let's get going, Andrei. Look at some questions. Air defense, that's the big thing now. So I got some basic questions about air defense, right? Okay, you got an air defense system. You have your radar, you have your missiles, you have your computers that do all of your firing solutions and things of that nature. Fairly simple. Why is it that we're looking, all the THAAD system, all the Patriot system, all these, hey, it looks like it ought to be a good system. Why do you think it is that they perform so poorly at this point? What is it about them that makes them perform, that they're getting such poor performance?
Well, it's a combination of factors, obviously. We don't know all of it. We can only, assume things, because all of this, including obviously those manifest, or just shocking failures, are basically based on the combination of factors which ran from, for starters, when they write their technical task and provide the order, so to speak, the customer, let's say the U.S. Air Force or Army or Israeli Defense Force, they write things which they have, so to speak, perform into this and that parameters, so with this range of speeds, range of deloads for the missiles and things of this nature. And then, of course, considering the fact of what is happening for the last 30 years with all that, they begin to think within the framework of what they were seeing, for example, in let's say first Gulf War and things like that. There are assumptions. Then there is, of course, the institutional culture there. And they say, okay, we can do that. So here's your really sophisticated missile with all those bells and whistles, this is your computer and things like that. And it is like any mechanism. Obviously, it's a very complex system. But then suddenly you put this thing out there, and as was the case, what many people do not remember, and we have to kind of, rewind back, harking back to the halcyon days of Mr. Reagan and all that. So what did they do when they recognized that actually Soviet Union and Soviet Navy and attached missile-carrying aviation were developing an extremely dangerous weapons, which are cruise missiles? Guess what? If we create Aegis, which is there, essentially it's Spy-1D radar, and then there's the combat management system there, which runs all those, Mk-41 VLS vertical launch system air defense missiles, ranging from SM-2 to SM-3, which were supposed to shoot down even, all those, ballistic missiles. Now you have SM-6. The problem is when they went into their tests in 1980s, mid-80s of the Aegis and Spy-1D radar, it performed dismally. Out of 16 easy launches, and easy launches mean You launch one missile, then another one after, well, whatever short interval of time goes in, and it is essentially like, the mother goose and her ducklings or whatever, walking through the across the road. Out of 16, they shot down 5. In the real war, you would have been dead. Okay, but they say, oh, yeah, it's good enough, and guess what? They accepted it for the service. So evidently, the same thing. The same practice, because United States doesn't know what continental war is. United States hasn't been bombed, or they don't have reference point. They love to bomb somebody, but when you look at American generals, ask him when was the last time the Second Panzer Army, Germans assaulted Boston. They obviously not. And so that's how it goes. So this is the endemic institutional culture. And as a result, they create this product which absolutely ignores actually what are the developing threats that, for example, ballistics. And again, with ballistic, it's a very simple thing. Their product, so to speak, is this. They have this radar with the powerful computer, which does the track, okay? And the track, which is basically, you have to develop the track. Sometimes it takes 5 seconds, sometimes it takes 10, sometimes you have to have more. But you have to have also serious calculation or the computer capability. And you have the ballistic, which is predictable trajectory, okay? And so they created this thing, which never worked to start with, by the way, and still doesn't intercept it. Well, it might intercept 1 or 2 out of 7, maybe. But they say, oh, it's good enough. Nobody, we are so advanced. We are in the USA, all. And then Israel, obviously, there, running between the legs of the American, savages, barking like, yeah, we need this too. So America, just because obviously it's totally under control of AIPAC and all that. Here it is. Here's the technology. This is Raytheon, Boeing, give the Rafael, all those technologies. It's good enough. It's awesome. Look at us. We are just, man. So they get this, and then, of course, then they recognize that, wow, Iran evidently has a very advanced missile program, and it's not this, the pipes from the sink and, that stuff which Hamas and Hezbollah used to have in early 2000s. That suddenly it is an extremely modern ballistics. It has an extremely active boost phase, which accelerates them to what would be considered hypersonic speed. And during and its intermediate range missiles, they have excellent inertial navigational systems. They have excellent, probably what we can accept. They definitely use GLONASS and or GPS, depending on what they do. And obviously, if they do the full blown trajectory, which is the exoatmospheric trajectory, they do astral correction, celestial correction by stars and all that stuff. And suddenly you have this, and the Iranians can shoot it. They can shoot a classic ballistic trajectory, parabola, and so that's what those systems are designed for. Okay, we see this, we detect it. Let's get the track, let's get, something and firing solution. What are you gonna do when the thing actually stops flying by the classic ballistic trajectory? What if it is suppressed ballistic trajectory? And then suddenly Iranians say, oh yeah, okay, we have those MIRVs, multiple independent re-entry vehicles. They obviously do not carry nuclear charges, they carry the explosives. But first, they are Mach 13 at the burnout speed. When the booster stops, they are already at Mach 13. And Iranians evidently know how to do the suppressed ballistic trajectories, which are not ballistic exactly. They are becoming quasi-ballistic. And that is a completely different story. And if that hasn't been enough, they begin to maneuver. And after that, it's just like, okay, take all these air defense systems and throw them into dumpster, because the only thing they are designed for is to accept those classic ballistic missiles, which have been the technology based out on the 1950s, 1960s, maybe 1970s. So we live in a completely different technological paradigm. These guys, with their equipment, with their technology, with their concept, they still live what I repeat, like, I don't know, ad nauseam. The tongue soon will have the freaking blister from repeating it. United States Army, the same as Israelis and all, conceptually and in terms of table of organization and equipment, are stuck in 1990s. They are stuck there. They are not armed forces and armies of the 21st century. They are obsolete, and we see the result. And if you go today in my blog, I don't know. I don't speak Hebrew. Obviously, we need good our Jewish friends, who know Hebrew to translate it to us. But looks like Mr. Ben Gvir and chief of Mossad are fighting each other, physically on the rubbles of Tel Aviv. And Mr. Ben Gvir, in accordance to what was, translated, I don't know, maybe that's not what they say, but it's still funny. They fight each other. They're like, scuffle there and all that. And Ben Gvir says, why the hell did you beat Iran that badly? And chief of Mossad tells him, we didn't know about their capabilities. It's like, oh my God, good old NATO, good old USA. Never knows actually what kind of enemy they are trying to fight. Then go out there and we get the FAFO. Screw around, find out. And boy, did Israel found out. It's unbelievable.
Well, and it's the old Lenin thing. There are decades where people F around and weeks where they find out.
Yeah, it just didn't take long. My God, it's just only a week. And boy, they're ready. Even Washington Post admits they probably have about 10 days.
Well, the other thing I think is, if you could speak to this, if you and I are going at each other, then there has to be there's the issue of industrial warfare. And part of the issue of industrial warfare is my ability to produce munitions economically and kinetically. I have to make it, but I have to buy the materials and I have to purchase everything to make it. So if you and I are making missiles and I can fire a missile at you that costs $100,000 and you have to put 2 missiles, I think those THAAD missiles are like 8 million or 10 million.
Yeah, some of them, they say that it's 12 and a half actually. It's ridiculous. They might as well just, put this, they
might have throw gold bars at them.
Throw bars into a slingshot and shoot at it. It just, it's ridiculous. And you're absolutely correct. I mean, they are not prepared to fight real war. I remember, and my last book is precisely about that. A bunch of idiots from RUSI, which is this, clown organization in Great Britain called Royal United Service Institute, so there's British generals and, admirals and all kinds of people write all kinds of stupid stuff there. And so they write, it was Vershinin, Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Army. Here I say, the industrial warfare is back. They're like, really? I thought it never went away. I mean, my first book, and if you look I read about my blog for the last, it's now in second decade actually. From the first post, I started writing, guys, you have to learn about the real economy, not this BS from Wall Street, all those, financial bubble. You have to learn what is produced, how it is produced. And when they say that, industrial warfare came back, it never went away. It never went away. The war is the most expensive, most horrible thing in the world. And if you don't have real economy, and especially a real serious military industrial complex which can produce, you're goner. In the West, United States never experienced the war except for the Second World War II, when it was actually American mass production capacity, which helped primarily, although the Lend-Lease was an important part in supporting USSR, but actually it was the Great Britain, which was given 3 times more than Soviet Union, and it wasn't given, it was Lend-Lease. You still had to pay. Russia finished paying off the Lend-Lease charity, as many people think for some reason. Early 2000s, only the last payment was done by Russian Federation for Soviet Union. So, but since then, the United States, which existed then, simply evaporated. You can get a lot of financial consultants which produce this gross domestic product, consulting people how to invest into whatever the garbage, those bubbles. But in terms of production, and let alone Israel. What is Israel? Israel is a 9 million population country with the size of what? A New York agglomeration, probably, or the size of state of New York. It's probably
No, nowhere near it. New Jersey, nowhere
yeah.
near
I
the size
think
of New York.
if you
A
take
small strip of New
probably
York.
Bellingham in Washington, Bellingham down to Tacoma, that's about it, and slightly wide. That's about the size of Israel. So if anybody tells me that these guys could do it on their own, I have a bridge to sell them. This is all primarily American and European production, design, and things of this nature. And air defense systems, when you look at actually what those heads, arrows, David slings, or it's all Boeing and Raytheon. Okay, and that's it. Evidently, Iran blew up the whole Rafael thing, there. So what do they have left? Pretty much nothing, So
Let me,
it
let
was,
me, let me
yeah,
ask you this, and I'm sure you saw everybody's seen the what I would consider a pretty humiliating video for Israel, where you see their air defense system and you see a missile take off and it kind of slows up and it turns around and it comes right back down and blows its own self up. And what in the world causes a malfunction of that nature, or is it a malfunction?
some of it malfunction, others they lose targeting, plain and simple. In order for you have to lock on. Okay, so you have several ways of doing this. They have multi-channel radar, which is semi-active. That means your radar illuminates the target, and essentially you launch missile. Missile has its own seeker, and the seeker, just is guided by the reflective signal by your active radar. But it is a very, very sensitive thing. And if you do not have it developed for all kinds of maneuvering stuff, all kinds of the do Iranians have some kind of the electronic warfare suite on some of their latest missiles? Not the ones which we saw, but latest, I'm pretty sure they have electronic warfare thing which also interferes with all kinds of the semi-active things. And after that, what happens? It loses lock on, and literally missile becomes what? Completely disoriented. What do they do? Depending on the protocol, whatever they write in this code, what it does, they basically turns around and smacks itself into the ground, So, and that's the one of the possibilities when they lose the lock on or capture, so to speak. And so interference, again, we don't know the electronic warfare game. If Iran uses, they did launch more modern missiles yesterday and today, and evidently they didn't intercept many of them.
They
So
claim, I was reading, and they claim that their latest missiles have electronic warfare.
There you go. Then it becomes like, and when you have the system which is designed to operate under ideal conditions, fighting against the mighty air forces and missiles of Taliban. Taliban, we know they have mighty air force and mighty, long range fires. So yeah, that might work. But in real combat, and especially when you have the battle space absolutely saturated with all kinds of stuff, and and we obviously see that they use also decoys. Iranian missiles use decoys. Nowadays, they shot today one of the missiles with the warhead, which is the cluster munitions. And among those cluster munitions, some of them could be, and actually it was one of the pieces of the missile didn't explode. They found out, and there are photos of it in the Israel territory. And so who knows what else do they use, but I can tell you one thing. The guys who sit there in front of the radar, screens all those LCDs, and they, they have these computers working, and they just, they get confused, obviously. Evidently, it's becoming, obvious that they are not that good in terms of fighting their electronic warfare. And as it turned out, looks like Iran got a really good, they sucked at counterintelligence. Let's put it this way. Iranians not good at counterintel because we knew what happened. But in terms of the intel on the ground, and especially in Israel, looks like they have a really good handle on what is going on there, which is totally understandable. There are many Israeli Arabs who wouldn't mind helping Iranians, obviously because of Gaza and things of this nature. Then there are obviously humaned by pure Iranians, So it's difficult to distinguish, Iranian from a Jew, really. Just
Right.
they look the same, very much similar. And so there are all kinds of people on the ground there. There were all kinds of the capabilities, and we are observing what the weak. Israel is just devastated. I look at the good Lord. There are some. It's Gaza 2.0 there.
They can't 2-3 weeks of this. And the thing about it is, I think here's part of it. Iran's a huge country, and they have a lot of. They can take a lot of punches for a while.
Yeah.
If you hit critical targets on Israel for a couple of weeks, as small as Israel is, you run out of critical targets.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. And evidently, again, I don't know. I'm extremely squeamish, if you wish, when looking at those photos, including from the Iranian side. Both sides are BSing each other. It's propaganda on both sides. Let's make no mistake. Iranians also, do their exaggeration, embellishment, and things of this nature. But evidently, the photos from Dimon nuclear facility in Israel, and it was told from the day one that they hit it, in Dimona in Israel. But today, some photos begin to appear there. It's highly precise. Evidently, they broke through the dome or whatever, the reactor there. So we have issues there, okay? Big ones. So, and evidently, Iran can hit whatever it wants, as you correctly stated. It's a small country. It's a small country. They went on to fight the country, which is, people corrected me, I said tenths. It's 62 times larger as the territory as Israel, okay?
I think it's 3 times larger than Ukraine, and Ukraine's the largest country in Europe. I mean, not counting Russia.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: what's the difference in, say, the radars that would be used for an S-300 or S-400 as opposed to the radars that use with these, Patriots, etc.? Because it seems to me that the radars of the S-300s, S-400s, etc., seem to be picking up stealth. They claim to pick up stealth planes and things like that. What's the radar differences?
It's a band. In terms of band, there is the huge difference, which is huge state secret. Mathematics is there, but it is how you realize this mathematics in the hardware, and how you write it, which matters. And it's signal processing, and Russians are considered the best in the world in this respect in terms of air defense. And it is obviously banned. It's microwave radiation. It's the longer wave radiation, and so as the result, you have, for example, the Russians always operate across the whole spectrum, of the available bands in the radio. And that means that you have several actually capabilities embedded already in the air defense complexes, such as S-300 before or S-400, but also they are always interacting with the other types of the detection. By the way, Iran has that type of the radar, which is called resonance. They have 2 of them. It's stationary system. It can pick up anything, including stealth, whatever. Stealth is just baloney, basically. So, and what happens when you build the integrated air defense systems? You receive, and it is fully net-centric. And depending on how you choose the topology of the net-centricity. For example, Russians have this wonderful thing. It's called the Polyana. It's the sensor fusion. You can plug in literally 14 air defense complexes of different kinds. S-400, S-500, Panzer, Tor, all of them come to this. And plus now modern Russian complexes, they also speak to each other. So you have the shooter speaking to a shooter, and all shooters speaking to the central thing, and the central thing is plugged into the whole darn thing, including the space constellation and everything. So they have this fused picture across all broad spectrum of the bands in radio. optical. It's also the electromagnetic spectrum, just different type of the electromagnetic spectrum. As a result, you fuse those data and you get the combined picture. You literally, when you sit in, let's say you are the battalion or battery chief, or the commander of the, let's say, S-400, you do not necessarily see what only your radar pick up. You see the combined fused picture, which is picked up across throughout the whole theater. And you literally see, okay, otherwise, if you would operate alone, you might not necessarily be able to pick it up that early. But when you have the combined picture completely fused, you can see targets which fly. And here is the thing. That's what many people about S-400. On the 2 days ago at the in Belarus, in Minsk, this Mil Expo 2025. So Representative Almas Antey, and I know this for real because I knew it a long time ago. They say, "Oh no, we're not just picking up stealth targets," and I made a video actually about it. "Oh no, we just shoot down the missiles from Patriot PAC-3, their interceptors, and they are the fastest missiles." And so, can you imagine? They hide PAC-3 in somewhere behind lines because once they move it anywhere, it's immediately destroyed. So, well, S-400 picks up the missiles, interceptor missiles by PAC-3. And guess what? These are the fastest missiles in the American arsenal because they are on the boost phase, the acceleration phase, they reach almost hypersonic speeds, about Mach 4.6, 7, 8. Not quite there, but very fast. So on 10 occasions, S-400 shot them down at extreme ranges. So what the hell Russians using there as missiles? We know some missiles which have amazing capability, but evidently this is something new altogether. So that tells you how well they are tactically and situationally aware that they pick up even the missiles of the air defense complexes of the enemy, which are launched hell knows from what distance. So that's what it gives you in terms of net centricity. And the Russians have been, in terms of air defense, on this issue since 1960s. Since 1960s. Yeah, it was the vacuum tubes. Then, of course, solid-state electronics went. And, your 1 kilobyte, thing was about the size of this box. And it was like 30 pounds, But it was already there. It was digitizing itself. And by 1980s and 90s, it was this breakthrough where the air defense system was essentially, ready to become what it has become. And you saw yourself the effectiveness of it. And this is what we can compare to what we observe now. And I remember NASAMS, which is the Frankenstein, they stuck, AIM-120 MRAM, which is air-to-air missile. They stuck the air-to-air missile onto the ground launch. They said, "Oh yeah, it's amazing. We can it could be net-centric." Really? It's like, dudes, where have you been the last 25 years? So this is what happens, and we see that it's utter humiliation. It's utter humiliation, and again, just seeing Ben-Gvir going at it with this Mossad guy, head of Mossad, fighting each other. That police has to interfere. There's whole brawl there because, and when he tells them, "Why the hell did you do this to Iran?" They piss them off. They say, "Oh, we didn't know about that." Well, you should have asked me, like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite, when you should have asked me. So there you go.
Well, I knew something they had problems. I tell you when. Saudi Arabia and UAE were dealing with the Houthis, and the Houthis started throwing drones and missiles at them, slow moving, and they were hitting them. And the UAE walked. You remember, UAE was like, "Okay, never mind, goodbye." They left, and they were hitting Saudi oil infrastructure, and the U.S. said, "Okay, we're sending Patriot over there."
They're already there.
Yeah. But I think they sent some more. You remember that? They sent some more, and it didn't do any good. Saudis had to tap out, as they say in the ultimate fighting. The Saudis tapped out; they had to walk away because they couldn't stop them. And I thought, I think we might have a problem here. Anyway, so The U.S. is saying we'll come in and we got the B-1 Raider super duper duper giant bombers, and we'll fly in and we'll drop these bunker buster bombs. Well, I've watched Ted Postal, and he said, these bunker buster bombs aren't what you think they are, and I don't think they'll go further down. But the other part of it is this. Don't you have to fly those B-1, whatever the heck they are, bombers, into Iran airspace to drop them? And I'm thinking, they're going to die. If they fly those things in the Iranian airspace, I don't think they'll be real hard to shoot down, will they?
No, it's not difficult, especially the only way they can fly in is if United States manages, which I don't think it will, to suppress all of the air defense of Iran. And it doesn't take much to shoot down the bomber. And this whole concept that you can fly in and bomb, and this thingy, whatever the mother of all bombs or whatever the hell, which is complete propaganda BS. It's a vacuum bomb. It's 15 tons. It's not gonna fit inside the B2. Like, I don't know, maybe it
like
will.
a C-130. They put it in some line, and
it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's complete. It's World War II mentality, as I already told you. So, and even if they drop it, any raider will pick it up and will develop firing solution that will be it. So people who would be flying this, be that B-2 stealth bomber or whatever, or what C-130, or they are kamikaze basically. They are not coming back most likely, So, and even if somehow it will create some kind of the effect, which huge, horrendous explosion, they should ask Russians. Maybe Russians, they will give them bomb which is 4 times more powerful, but actually about 3 times smaller. So, no, I'm joking. Of course, Russia is not going to do anything like this. But the point is that Iran thinks that they can go it alone. That is why Vladimir Putin stated that 2 days ago, yesterday actually, that we offered them the much more advanced development of they declined. They produce their own, obviously, and we'll see, but they think they can handle it. And yes, in terms of even changing the outcome on the ground in Iran, it's the country of almost 100 million people. It's a gigantic country with developed economy, horrendous terrain. So United States is not even pretending to that it can do anything there. And so I don't think United States has arsenal, especially after so much of it used all over the other places that it can launch. I calculated roughly, So if you get, initial salvo, you probably can collect about between 400 and 500 tomahawks. But that will be about it, because after that they will have to go home and reload, or go to any kind of the base which they can find, which they will not now, and once they launch that, Hormuz Strait will be closed, and after that they will have to withdraw those naval assets, and the only thing they will have left will be obviously carrier battle groups and the deck cycle of the carrier aviation, because that's the only thing which will be left there. Well, I mean, they can still, again, launch some kind of bombers from Diego Garcia, what the hell, they can launch JASSMs. How many JASSMs they have? Maybe, 200, okay. So after that, what are you going to do? Iran is going to absorb it. It will first, it will mitigate it. It will shoot down some of it. And then what are you going to do? United States doesn't have much left. So what you have to is what? Good old U.S. Navy carrier aviation, which will be primarily kamikaze, missions, because first they need to take off, they need to deliver those munitions. Most of those munitions, they have some range, but it could be within the range of all kinds of, air defense systems there, which will survive. And we saw how effective decoys were, because obviously the Israeli assessment initially was way exaggerated, to put it mildly. So it's a complex situation.
It seems to
military
me,
wise. You
I would think also this. The Iranians have been planning for this for a long time. I
yeah,
would think the Iranians know that, okay, they would have figured out, look, Israel's going to come in most likely first, and Israel is a flea beside the U.S. We'll have to deal with them. They seem to be to be quite frank, they're swatting them like a fly.
yeah,
Israel, I was reading that Israel's saying, oh yes, we are controlling of space. That for the most part, Israel's in Iraqi airspace throwing missiles at them. That Israel's not flying in because they'll
no,
get shot down. It's all propaganda. But so Israel, it seems to me, the likelihood is that they're holding their stuff for the U.S. That they probably have air defense, all kinds of things that they're saying. Let's just sit this aside.
yeah,
Let's just wait. When the United States makes their move, and they will not have. Here's the next thing: no element of surprise whatsoever. They're
no,
gathering stuff. That's the other thing about a big slow. You're gathering things. You're bringing in planes. They're looking at the kind of planes you're bringing in. They're looking at where you're putting them, where you'll be launching them from, the direction. And I would imagine that Russia will be helping them with intelligence, saying they're taking off. They're coming from.
yeah. Early warning will be there, obviously. Yeah. So Russians will help in terms of early warning. They will call Tehran and say, okay, they are on the way and they will be ready. So, and plus, do not forget this first surprise. Again, they are one-trick ponies. They essentially beheaded, to a certain degree, Hezbollah. And they say, oh, yeah, let's repeat it on Iran. And guess what? They misfired. They did some damage, but suddenly what happened actually is boomerang. The blowback is in. Did you see those videos of the guards, Iranian Islamic Revolution guards, catching all those jerks, those
Mossad agents?
Yeah, and so supreme leader of Iran delegated fully all operations related to the defense of the country to the corps of the guards of the Islamic Revolution. These guys are not playing games. They will now, and I have people from Iran writing on my blog, they're saying, boy, it's those pro-Western liberals, they better now, sing the different story, because they will be dealing with the basically network of those, MI6, Mossad, CIA assets. Will some innocent people suffer because of that? Most likely. It's a sad situation, but this is war. For Iran, it's existential. And actually, they will do whatever is necessary. And they're already doing this, So I'm not really envying people who have been caught, including Mossad agents directly, Israelis. They will be singing like birds. I mean, those guys know how to deal with that. And so in this case, they actually misfired with this thing. Now they think, oh, yeah, we could repeat this thing. Much harder now, because obviously even already after the first thing, when was the first, last Thursday?
It's only been 5 or 6 days. It hasn't been a week.
Yeah. They thought, oh, that will, repeat the impact, strategic impact. It had tactical impact. It didn't change the strategic outlook, but what it did, it betrayed a huge portion of their network of the agents and assets. And now that the guys have the goal, they have their knives out. My God, I mean, it's just not going to end up good for those people. Sadly, most likely, innocent people will be hurt, but that's the nature of the beast. They, as Mr. Ben-Gvir screamed at this Mossad chef today, why the hell did you piece Iran that way? We didn't know. Well, yeah, you didn't. You should have asked me. I would have told you that. So
it seems to me that one of the things that Iran seems fairly confident, and I would think, based on what you're talking about, based on the technological abilities of the U.S., Iran. Here's the other part. It's a whole lot easier to defend than it is to attack, particularly when you have a long time to prepare to defend. Yeah. It's much easier to defend than it is to attack, particularly an air attack, correct?
Yeah. If you are correctly noted a few minutes ago that they probably moved some air defense assets into locations which are unreachable. And when time comes, they will pop up, so, and they will be using the classic ambush tactics, they turn on the radar, short time, get your, get your target, acquire it, develop firing solution, bang, out, and many of those missiles, they are shoot and forget. They do not need semi-active regime. They operate in the active regime. They have active homing devices. So essentially, you need two sweeps of a radar or the electronic thing, just to see their target, and it's immediately developing firing solution. You just push the button, thing goes off. Pack up your things and move out. That's what it is. This is how it works, and we'll see. I mean, as we spoke prior, Trump will be pushed obviously into this adventurism. It will get bloody nose, and then, good Lord, we can only, we can only pray that it ends up for the United States in some positive way. And I'm talking about United States proper, because politically it's going. He already destroyed his presidency. We know
Yeah,
that.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I can see it. The people that were supporting him are already feel betrayed.
yeah.
He has destroyed his presidency because he absolutely has no ability. I mean, this idea, he always uses a deal, like he's talking about business. That's not how international politics
Yeah.
work. Sergei Lavrov's not looking for a deal.
Yeah.
He negotiates an outcome, and Trump is. But now that's over. No one. What is the point of negotiating with Donald Trump now, knowing that he'll negotiate with you?
Totally. No reputation left. Absolutely no trust. Everybody knows that the guy is full of substance, which kind of hot air balloon, who doesn't operate on any kind of honor, integrity, and so, yeah, Russians know that, and Iranians know that. They will be playing these diplomatic games as long as it takes. But yeah, he cannot come now to. He called Putin, and yeah, he's like, Putin obviously offers what Russia naturally does: stop the violence. Let's kind of get together and sort things out. Russians hate war because they know of war. But what else can Russia do? You cannot. He's controlled by Tel Aviv. People already send me kudos from my last video when I said the guy is the vice president of Israel. That's his official post. He's not popular. He's vice president of Israel. He actually subordinated to Netanyahu and the Knesset. Well, again, what is the U.S. Congress? Most of U.S. Congress is the extension of the Knesset in the United States. Washington is the extension of Tel Aviv. There are no American politicians there. Some exceptions. We know some MAGA people like Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Rand Paul, Thomas Massey, people who they are American patriots. We may not agree with all of their politics, but they are openly already stating this. When you look attentively at those doors, pathetic sellouts and covers in Congress with all those "I stand with Israel," and things like that. Yeah, that's what American politics is. It's servitude to Israel. They correctly, people say, they penetrated everything: Israeli forsters and Christian Zionists, media, all kinds of think tanks. There are a bunch of fanatics in Pentagon, who believe this BS. They read this garbage of the Schofield, Bible, which is essentially a rewriting of the classic, Bible into. What do you expect? He was the dude from the Oxford Divinity Department, London, or British. So these people just, and what you have, we have what we have. So the United States have been completely mortgaged to Israel, and there you go.
Let me ask you this. If for the U.S., because they kill me, they use this term, which shows they don't understand war. Well, we may strike Israel, as if war is the one time, as you can just come in and throw some bombs at it, strike them. Sounds so singular. We'll strike them, then what? Then I guess we'll go home and have a beer. Like they're not going to strike you back and continue to strike you back. But let me ask you this. U.S. naval assets, will some of these have to come in range of some of Iran's missiles and some of Iran's abilities to, attack, or will they be able to stay out of range? I mean, they're launching planes to go in. Won't they? Some of these be in range of Iranian missile capabilities?
It's a very good question, actually. I don't know. As I already stated, well, considering the level of intelligence, which is basically kindergarten level, when you look at what CIA and Mossad,
The
assessments now with the 3ASS, this half-assed assessments, so those people obviously do not know what they're dealing with. Well, some do, but the information never makes it to the higher ups because it will upset them. The problem is, first, you can obviously launch a strike, even as they were doing this with Afghanistan. The carrier battle group will hang out in the Indian Ocean a pretty significant distance, and they would refuel them, and so they will fly in F-18s, do their job in Afghanistan, turn around, refuel again, and go back. So they might do this, and most likely they will do this. The issue, however, and here comes this thing. We obviously do not know the real. And the question is, do they have those intermediate range ballistic missiles with the anti-ship capability? And what you need is the missile which has the active seeker. We know that their warheads, they do have optronic channel, optical electronic channel, which they can, home it through the clouds, they can identify target. How good are they in this respect? And can they hit their moving targets, the scale size of, a destroyer? Is it possible? It's certainly possible. How probable it is, I don't know. But in this case, if we're talking about this type of the missiles, then doesn't matter where they are. They can be 2,000 kilometers off the shore of Iran. And that becomes extremely operationally difficult for them to conduct any kind of the sustained, the train, so to speak, rotate their strike packages from the deck. Plus, you have to, at some point of time, service them and things like that. And you're not going to be active 24/7. You're going to be running some kind of the sustained bombing, but it will not be as impressive as you might think. And in this case, you have to keep in mind that, who knows? What if they have the 2,000 kilometer range thing, which can actually home onto a ship? And if that happens, well, we knew what Houthis did. They literally pushed the carrier battle groups into the, away from the shores. And these are Houthis, for crying out loud. They're using 1950s and 60s technology, okay? And Iran obviously supplied them some, but what you look at them, it's P-15 missiles, from 1950s. Okay, well, yeah, they may have improved something in terms of the seekers, homing devices, but it's old, subsonic, so it flies pretty high. But if you have something which is anti-shipping ballistic, good Lord, I mean, and that thing, if that thing hits, especially with that intermediate range, it's going to be at about Mach 9, 8 at the impact at the terminal. When it goes through, oh God, it's not going to be good. So, but I don't know if they really have it. Russia has it, but Russia has all kinds of other means. But Russia is not sharing anything like this with Iran.
So far, Iran's been pretty impressive. So I'll put it like this: if I were the U.S., I wouldn't go in there betting that they don't have it.
Yeah, exactly.
I would go in with the assumption that they do, because if you assume that they don't, there's one way you'll find out that they do, and that's when you
yeah. Yes. Yeah. And again, don't forget, they're even thinking of the single destroyer or hitting the destroyer could be a shock. Okay, and these missiles are not that good old Exocet which hit the USS Stark.
Yeah, I remember that.
This not going to be that thing. That thing will have probably half a ton of explosives, and it will have super hypersonic speed at the terminal. When this thing will hit, you're not going to save the ship. You're just going to sink. So, and it's a horrendous situation. But you're absolutely correct. They should assume that they have it, and that means what? They will be pushed further and further into the Indian Ocean and trying to, and that of course strains your operations tremendously. You still can do it, but it's first, it's a longer time of approach, and it's huge expenditure of the fuel. And again, this is not Iraq, this is Iran, and just terrain alone. Good luck finding those things in the mountains. Of course, they will be sitting and sifting through all this, satellite imagery and satellite real-time data. But the point is, there is so much harder to hit it than on the flat as the frying pan, desert with the bunch of morons from Saddam's army who couldn't even freaking dig their tanks properly in, and even then, they, as many people who fought there, like Danny Davis, Douglas McGregor, they say, and after all those, aerial attacks, they go in and like, oh my God, most of it is just fine. It never was damaged, It's just that, they couldn't fight properly, but that's what it is. So if they think that Iran is easier, have a bridge to sell them.
It sounds like to me that if the U.S. decides, okay, we're going to do a quote, the traditional NATO style strike, where we come in, we're going to suppress their air defense systems, and then we're going to have total air dominance, and then we're going to send in all these planes and bomb them day and night. I mean, the Iranians could give them the indication that their air defense systems are, they've been using dummies, they've been using wooden, so they could give them the idea that they've suppressed them, and then let you get a bunch of planes in and turn them on and shoot them all down. I mean, the potential is there for the United States to
ambush, classic ambush, classic ambush. So that's how it operates. Yes, when you are weaker, you try. That's what Ukrainians were trying to do, ambushes. They were lucky to hit a couple of planes throughout the last 3 years, but it's ambush. But obviously, it's a completely different approach to war because Russia has a long-range fires which they simply cannot, like Iskander. Iskander M already has 1,000-kilometer range; it can reach anywhere. So, and this is just one of them. But United States doesn't have this capability. United States has either bombs or it has the things like JASSMs.
What's the range on a JASSM?
Standard range is 900 kilometers. They were trying to do JASSM ER, and they tried JASSM against Syrians in 2018. You remember this? What's his name? Trump's daughter. Tantrum after obviously, as usual, propaganda in the Western media. So he did this thing. Out of 109 missiles, 78 have been intercepted by Syrians, and many of them are JASSMs actually. So it doesn't matter if they're so stealthy and everything. Russians, know how to deal with that. And but they have 900 kilometer. That's probably what they will be using. They will be using obviously clams, which will be launched, and these are to up to 2,000 kilometer range. They will be launched from destroyers and Ticonderoga class cruisers. But again, they probably will be able to master about 500 in the first salvo, and after that, that will be pretty much it. So because that's going to be the expenditure. That's actual force, or if you wish, stores which United States has now. You do not go to serious war with these stores. If you, especially when you consider, just to give you the, when Russians you doing this practically every day for 3.5 years, you need in tens of thousands. Okay, so for such country as Iran, and
it seems to me that the U.S. is going in with a not planning on anything long term, that they're going in
No,
and they're
they
not
can't.
sure what their enemy has in there. It seems like this could be a debacle of a level that we could is unimaginable. I mean, it has the potential to be a debacle because right now, okay, if I'm Iran right now and the US is gathering planes and everything, any site they're hit, there's going to be nothing there. I'm digging things, I'm putting them underground, I'm moving them, everything. I'm
Yeah,
going to map out what all of their bank of targets is, and the buildings will still be there, and they'll hit all these targets. If you give me this amount of time to prepare for your
yeah.
strikes, there's not going to be any, not even a desk in any building or anything that you hit.
Decoys. They will put up more decoys as they did initially against Israeli, primarily diversionary groups. They hit a lot of decoys, empty 18-wheelers, all that thing. You can see it. There are plenty of videos of that. So yes, they probably would do that. And the only thing which I'm thinking about now, it could be indeed a repetition of Ivanka's strike in 2018 when Ivanka went, oh my God, they killed children, well, primarily by MI6, that's what they do. And he launched those 109 missiles, declared that we struck everything we needed, and declare yourself the victor and go away. He can do that. He can do this pinprick, like, oh, look at this, we just, and then say, oh yeah, we defeated them. Let's turn around.
But what good is that going to do?
Could be the case,
That the thing is that what good is that going to do Israel? Because still they're getting mercilessly pummeled.
Oh yeah,
and they'll be out of air defense system soon. And I would
They
imagine the U.S. is sending them the air defense system. So how many air defense missiles do they really have for all of their stuff in the region?
No, not many. And again, Iran issued today actually not warning, demand. He said, we will stop hitting Israel when they pay reparations. Yeah, it's in the news. So that means pretty much what? We will continue to until you're just gone, So, and this is what is happening now. It's a horrible situation. Make no mistake. I am completely, as much as I hate Israeli government because this is a Zionist fanatics, and there is a certain guilt on the part of Israelis themselves. They elected this trash. Constantly. So they are getting paid. Anybody who says that there is no corporate punishment, there is. Nations are taught lessons. Look at Germany. Look at look at Ukraine. That's what usually war does. Essentially, you can say, in which will be true. You wanted it, you got it. It just now enjoy. But in the same time, I understand very many people who do not necessarily have any ill feelings in general, they are being also, pushed to this situation. And you look attentively at a number of things now in Israel. There are their refineries have been hit. They are having now no electricity in some places. Their plumbing was blown up. I mean, it's just like, so it's Gaza 2.0, so, and it's horrible. War is horrible. Who said that it's fun? Only Hollywood and morons from the US media and European media say it's fun because they're cretins, I'm talking about establishment media. They don't understand what war is. And I was really gratified by the fact that when I listened to real American military professionals and, veterans, and most of them say, screw this is not our war. They are radically against it, even if sometimes for wrong reasons, but they are correct. Steve Bannon, obviously, he is better ideologue than he is naval analyst, intelligence analyst, because he still believes in this, exceptionalism. But at least he says, yeah, this is not our war. This is not America's war. Israel, you wanted it, deal with them, So, and I totally agree with you.
Well, I'll tell you this. The Ukrainians got to be looking in the mirror saying we've been had, because they're getting nothing now. They're not getting anything. In fact, my understanding is they're taking stuff back from Ukraine, sending it to the Middle East. And I think the Ukrainians are looking around saying they're not going to get money. They're going to not even have the money to pay their civil service, to pay anything. They're going to call Washington, D.C., and they're not even going to nobody's going to answer the phone. It's over. And my understanding is they're pretty much getting pummeled into submission now themselves.
Yeah. And again, they're not going to have country per se, just it's virtual economy, virtual government, which subsists entirely, almost in its entirety, by the Western money. And Trump asked, as fun as it is about this meeting of NATO, in the resolution to mention Ukraine as little as possible. I mean, come on. I mean, so we know who the guy is now. We really got him. We really understand how it's not things, how he reacts. He doesn't think. I mean, he is not a thinking personality. But what we see now is it's an utter defeat of, if you needed more, here it is. That's NATO. Israel, de facto, is a part of NATO. It's just the extension of the European, and especially British, all kinds of the, the war criminals sitting there, which is they are, they are son of a bitch, but they are our son of a bitch. That's who they are. And so you look at this, they are being beaten in utter submission across the board. And many people still do not understand what is happening in Ukraine right now. It's actually order of magnitude more massive in terms of what is happening right now. You look at, it's not just Kiev, it's literally every major industrial hub in Ukraine. Yeah, that's Tel Aviv.
Odessa. I saw pictures from Odessa, and it looked like it was just on fire.
Yeah,
it's wiping everything out.
Yeah, they're wiping every single industrial capability. Nearly all Russians had it. They said, okay, and Mr. Putin was repeating this all the time until when he stated that we haven't started anything yet, which is correct. But again, because obviously the Western establishment media and Western politicians and military, they are morons. So they only thing they can do is lie and propaganda. That's pretty much it. They cannot fight the real war. And when they see what is happening, it's like, I don't know how to describe it. What did those people think? Again, my last book is about it. It's like, literally, it's a kindergarten. It's like, guys, do you understand what real war is? Do you understand how models work? Do you understand how data sets work? Do you understand how operation planning is working? They don't. They have no clue. It's just, it's scary. You have those 3 4-star generals. Look at that. They planned this counter offensive in 2023. It was planned by kindergarten kids who never attended, forget about military academy. They never graduated from the high school. And these are amateurs. They are literally, they lived in this Hollywood reality. And now that is why I constantly repeat, I mean, who the hell those people are? They will be laughed out on the morning meeting of the staff of the brigade level in Russian army. Forget about they appearing somewhere on the corps or army level. They will be looked at as the fleas, who are amateurs. They don't understand anything about it. They don't understand air defense. They don't understand ISR, modern ISR. They don't understand long-range fires. The United States simply has no long-range fires which compare to what the Russians use. And now they see what Iran does. Oh, Iran was supposed to be this totalitarian, theocracy and things like that. Okay, yeah, sure. So doesn't mean that they do not know physics. Oh, hell no, they do. And so they study mathematics and physics there. Oh my God. So as a result, they have engineers. They can do a lot of things. So, and here we are.
Yeah, that's it. I think, if they, and you said it for a while, well, we're heading out now, but you said it for a while and you said, they're going to have a catastrophic loss. Apparently, one catastrophic loss isn't good enough. Apparently,
they want utter humiliation. They want utter, in the whole world right now, the global South, 90% population of the world, 90, that is the global South. China, Vietnam, India, Brazil, they look at this like, good Lord, they are naked. They are nobodies, they are just, so, and that's the message. And the only thing they can do is verbiage. Propaganda, talk tough, thump their chest and things like that. And but it is a catastrophe. It's the 500-year reign of West. Not everything was bad about West. I'm a Western man, make no mistake. It is my civilization. It's my art, culture in many respects, So it's, but what it have become in the last 80, 100 years, yeah, it's not survivable. It's cannot live. It's a freak show. They gave us 2 world wars, industrial level, genocide everywhere across the world, from Soviet Union to Africa to everywhere. So, and what can I say? Good riddance. I just hope that when France disintegrates, for example, that there are teams ready to salvage Louvre, and move things of the real cultural treasure to preserve it, because modern West is not the West anymore. It's a decomposing corpse, and we can see it was demonstrated all over the place now.
We'll hit out, but when I saw they had the Olympics in France,
Oh God.
and when I saw the whatever that was, the entrance to the French Olympics, the beginning, I said to myself, I'm looking at a dead man. It's over. I turned the TV off and I went and read the news on my computer or something. But at any rate, thank you very much. Andrei Martyanov, #1, Reminiscence of the Future. That's his blog site. Make sure you go there regularly. Keep up with everything. Get some of his books. His books are really, really good stuff. You need to learn this stuff. Additionally, Smoothie X12, that's his outstanding YouTube channel. And with everything going on now, you need to learn what's going on in Ukraine. You need to learn a lot of stuff about what's happening with Russia and what's happening as far as military hardware. No place better than Smoothie X12. So thanks a lot, Andrei. Certainly appreciate you taking time out, and we will talk to you soon. All right, everybody. Follow me on Rumble and Rockfin and all that stuff. If you can afford to buy me a coffee or PayPal or the other one, Patreon or something like that, that's great. And of course, don't forget, hey, look at that, I got a PO box, so feel free to send snail mail to the PO box. Thanks a lot, guys. It's late, I'm tired, I'm out.